of Buffy vanishing did not come to light. Hearth, who you remember from the Frey miniseries, from the future, Frey from the future, the Slayer in the future, where she discovered the prophecy where the last Slayer, who was Buffy, vanished, saving the world. So they knew that the final battle with Hearth and also the returning Mayor Wilkins as a snake were trying to take down, trying to open a portal for hell to come back to Earth, and the demons would rule the world. So it's kind of far-fetched and out there stuff. It kind of went beyond the series into more sci-fi, dimension, hopping kind of stuff. Kind of lost a lot of the original tone of the series. I think it went a little too far sometimes with the sci-fi elements. It really just lost track of its characters a lot. And it flew way too far from the original series. It was enjoyable to read for fans of Buffy. It was, it was nice to see it, nice to read it, to see what happened with the characters. But I think they went way off the rails, so they decided to reboot it. And henceforth, we got Buffy #1 from Boom Studios. And this series is rebooting the series back to the high school days, back to the beginning. So we see the beginning, Buffy is working in a fast food restaurant. She hasn't met Willow and Xander yet. They're in the restaurant eating. They leave, and a vampire jumps them, and Buffy saves them. That's how they meet. Then they see each other the next day in school. Buffy's new in school, coming from L.A. where she got kicked out. Kind of the same storyline, just to reboot. And it's taking place now. It's not taking place in the 90s, so now there's smartphones and all the stuff that wasn't around back then that they have access to now. It doesn't sound like a long time, but if you think about it, 97 when the series came out is over 20 years ago now, as much as it pains me to say that. So it's an interesting book. They rebooted things. Anya is there kind of directing vampires to her bidding. Drusilla makes an appearance at the end. She's kind of dressed more modern, not in the old ways that she used to dress in the show. So it's going to be interesting to see where this series kind of takes the characters. It looks like it's a more character-driven story, which is greatly appreciated after, the season 8 through 12 kind of spectacularness of those seasons. It's kind of bringing it back down to earth, back to basics, back to its roots, which is really interesting. And I think Boom Studios is doing a great thing. I think the artwork is tremendous. So if you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you get out to your local comic shop, pick up Buffy #1 from Boom Studios. I think you're not going to regret it. Even if you weren't a fan of the show, this is kind of a reboot. You don't need to know anything about the previous show or the previous comics to appreciate this story. So get out there, pick up Buffy #1 from Boom Studios, and you won't regret it, trust me. In other comic news, we've heard that Ernie Hudson, one of the original Ghostbusters, will be at this year's Salt City Comic Con, which is being held at Destiny USA and the Embassy Suites across from Destiny USA. So that's a pretty big. He'll be there signing autographs, taking pictures. I'm not sure if he's going to be appearing in his Ghostbuster jumpsuit, but that'd be kind of cool to get your picture taken with Ghostbuster at Comic-Con this year. As the weeks and months come on, we'll be hearing more. I'm sure there'll be wrestlers there. Scott Wilder always brings a group of wrestlers to Comic-Con, as well as larger-than-life comics always presents their own guests. Last year they had Kevin Nash and Goldust. So they advertised Kane last year, but Kane won the election in Tennessee and couldn't make it, of course. So we'll see what big superstars they have in store for us this year. Last year, Scott Wilder brought Greg Valentine, Andrew Anderson, and Short Sleeve Sampson, local of Syracuse. And they were such great guys, talkative, super nice. And Scott Wilder does an amazing job picking talent to come for these meet and greets in Syracuse. Scott Wilder is like a Syracuse treasure here, and for the whole New York area. So we want to thank Scott for all he does for the community and for the fans in Syracuse. So let's move on to our next segment. Now we are going to talk about
RuPaul's Drag Race. Gentlemen, start your engine. RuPaul's Drag Race. May the best woman win. RuPaul's Drag Race. Gentlemen, start your engine. RuPaul's Drag Race. May the best woman win.
That's right, RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars. Listen, you might not be a fan of the show, but it is a pop culture phenomenon, and we're going to talk about it. All-Stars, this past Friday night, came down to Manila Luzon and Latrice Royale up for elimination, and Monet Exchange and Naomi Smalls were the top two who had to lip sync to eliminate somebody from the bottom two. Interestingly enough, Naomi Smalls won the lip sync and chose to eliminate Manila Luzon. Shocking elimination because Manila Luzon has been the only one consistent. She's won 3 times. She's never been in the bottom. While Latrice Royale has been in the bottom, has been eliminated, brought back, and hasn't been performing to her ability. So during the show, Naomi and Latrice were talking, and Latrice even mentioned to Naomi that she had saved Naomi from elimination previously. So I think that played a part in Naomi Smalls' decision making. So we saw in the preview that Trinity the Tuck kind of takes Naomi Smalls to task for that elimination, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens this Friday night on All Stars. We're down to the top 5: Naomi Smalls, Monet Exchange, Monique Hart, Trinity the Tuck, and Latrice Royale. So there's 5 left. They usually do a top 3 in All Stars, I want to say, or even a top 4 sometimes. So we might be coming down to the wire. Coming up on right after All Stars is Drag Race season 11. And they've announced the cast. Nobody local this time. Aggie Doon, one of Syracuse and Rochester's favorites, has been auditioning for this show forever, and she still has not gotten the nod to be on the show. So Mrs. Kasha Davis, Darian Lake, and Pandora Box are all from Rochester. They also perform a lot in Syracuse. So it would have been nice to see Aggie get in there. I think, to be honest, I think Aggie is the best queen of them all. Out of the 3 that I just mentioned. Not that the other 3 aren't great. I just think Aggie Doon, her performance, she takes it to another level. But Kasha Davis, big fan of hers. I think she's hilarious. But I think Aggie Doon does things that only Aggie Doon can do. And I can't understand why she's not been invited on the show yet, but maybe they're waiting for the perfect time for such a strong queen. So, Darian Lake is a very nice queen. Pandora Box is always very entertaining. But I think Aggie Doon, and it's just my opinion, deserves to be on Drag Race. But maybe next year. So, yeah, I mean, Drag Race is coming. They announced 14 and a 15th contestant is going to be a mystery, but according to online rumors, it's going to be Miss Vanjie Mateo, Vanessa Vanjie Mateo. Miss Vanjie, you know who I'm talking about. So let's get into some talk about Immortal Championship Wrestling. Their big card this Saturday night, February 9th, in Amsterdam, Immortal Combat. They're going to crown their first ever Immortal Heavyweight Champion. And here to talk to us this week about that card is the promoter himself, Mike King. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guest at this time, Mike King. Big night for Immortal Championship Wrestling. You guys are going to crown your first heavyweight champion. What is it taking to prepare for this night?
Actually, it's taken quite a bit because I'm been very selective on who I wanted to be in the qualifying matches. So, I mean, I picked and chose quite a bit of the best talent in the Northeast for this.
And we know there's 12 guys competing. There's going to be qualifying matches and then a gauntlet match. Who are the 12 guys that are qualifying?
Well, one which is known throughout the Northeast is So Effin' Big Brute Van Slyke, which he's got quite the name for being one of the big guys in the Northeast. Bobby Ocean, El Jefe, Manny Martinez, Garrett Holiday, Rick Recon, internet sensation Antoine Nicholas. I don't know if it's a good thing how he became a sensation, but he was the one that had the botched shooting star press.
Yeah.
Which I had him booked long before that happened, but now he's become a sensation, I guess. Everybody's been wanting to book him, which is pretty funny. Kyle Brad, Big Nick Sullivan, Slick Wagner Brown, Mr. Must See TV Tyler Vincent, Robbie E., and Axel Lennox.
So how did you decide on these 12 guys?
Like I said, I mean, some of them wrestled for me in the past, and a lot of them I had a relationship with and loved their style and their ability in the ring. And the others, I mean, I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I just, like I said, I picked and chose who I wanted to come in because I want somebody that's going to definitely represent my company with pride and take that belt wherever they go, and they're more than welcome to defend it anywhere they'd like.
So the big question is, this is your second show for Immortal. Last year, you and Chris Envy split the Dynasty. What led to that decision to walk away from the Dynasty?
Yeah, I would rather not discuss it, to be honest with you.
Sure. Have you wanted to run your own promotion for a while?
Yeah, actually, yes, for sure.
And you've been doing fundraisers for the shows. Who are you raising funds for this time?
This is actually not a fundraising show. My next show, March 16th, will be a fundraiser for the St. John's Fire Department.
And
Which we'll get on that. The Canada Harry Youth Center was the last one, which I spent numerous hours in growing up. That was like my second home, so it was an honor to be able to money a check for $1,500 to them.
Was that the first fundraiser you wanted to do for them?
Yes. Yeah, like I couldn't think of a better way to have my first show, and it was a huge success. So it went well. They actually wanted to make it a yearly event. That's how well it went.
And this Saturday show is going to be in Amsterdam at the Elks Lodge. Is it 6:00 start or is it 7:00?
Doors open at 6. We got a pre-show match at 6:45.
And besides the qualifying matches and the gauntlet match, what other matches can we expect?
We got, let's see, I got 2 other matches. I have kind of a grudge match. Kenny Roberts versus Wayno. At the last show, Kenny turned on his partner Wayno at the end, just set everybody in shock and sided with Mr. Man. So we're having a grudge match.
And can fans expect a lot of familiarity, like Dynasty? Like, is this going to feel like a whole new show, or will it feel like more
For
Dynasty?
sure. Nope, for sure. Totally 100% different. I didn't want anything associated with that. I wanted to have my own brand and be separated from that.
And is the Mike King Dynasty character involved with Immortal, or do you stand more in the background?
More in the background. I'm going to be appointing a general manager probably in the next show or two.